The last train to Munich. Sophia and Lucas met on a chilly autumn evening in Berlin. She was a pianist, performing at a small cafe near Alexanderplatz, her music weaving through the warm glow of the room. Lucas, a budding architect, had stopped in for coffee after a long day. Her melody caught his ear, and her presence captured his heart. After her performance, Lucas mustered the courage to approach her. "You play beautifully," he said, his voice tinged with admiration. Sophia smiled, brushing a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. "Thank you," she replied, and from that moment their lives intertwined. Their love blossomed like spring flowers. They explored Berlin together, Sophia guiding Lucas through her favorite hidden spots, and Lucas sharing his sketches of the city's landmarks. They dreamed of a future filled with music and architecture, a life where their passions merged harmoniously. But love, as they would learn, isn't always enough. Lucas received an opportunity to study in Munich, a prestigious program that could shape his career. Sophia was thrilled for him, but secretly feared what the distance might bring. "It's only a few hours by train," Lucas reassured her. "We'll visit each other all the time." At first, they kept their promise. Lucas returned to Berlin every other weekend, and Sophia visited Munich when her schedule allowed. They stayed up late on video calls, sharing their days and dreams. But over time, the distance began to take its toll. Sophia's music career flourished, demanding more of her attention. Lucas, immersed in his studies, found it harder to make time for visits. The calls grew shorter, the messages less frequent. Arguments replaced laughter, small misunderstandings turning into long silences. One evening during one of Lucas's rare visits to Berlin, they sat in her tiny apartment, the warmth between them replaced by a cold tension. "I feel like we're drifting apart," Sophia said softly, her fingers trembling on the piano keys. Lucas sighed, rubbing his temples. "I'm trying, Sophia, but it's hard. Sometimes I feel like we're living two separate lives." Tears welled in Sophia's eyes. "Do you still love me, Lucas?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He looked at her, his heart breaking. "I do," he said, "but maybe love isn't enough to hold us together anymore." The next morning, Lucas boarded the train to Munich, leaving Sophia standing on the platform. They didn't say goodbye. The word felt too final. Instead, they exchanged a lingering glance, a silent acknowledgement of what they once had and what they were losing. Months passed, and life moved on. Sophia poured her emotions into her music, composing a hauntingly beautiful piece titled "The Last Train." It spoke of love and loss, of dreams and heartbreak. Lucas graduated and began working on projects that shaped the Munich skyline, but his heart carried the weight of what he left behind. Years later, they ran into each other at a gallery in Berlin. Lucas recognized the music playing softly in the background. It was The Last Train. Sophia stood nearby, her presence as captivating as ever. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, the years melted away. "Your music is as beautiful as ever," Lucas said, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Sophia smiled, her eyes glistening. "And your buildings are breathtaking," she replied. They parted ways that evening, their connection no longer tethered to a shared future, but forever etched in their hearts as a memory of a love that once was.